He was raised in a working-class family, East Harlem household during the Great Depression. His parents, Elizabeth and T, was given a lesson by James Lancaster, that feeling of self-control and diligence that will influence his professional life. However, their family had financial difficulties. Young Burt enjoyed engaging in physical activity, especially acrobatics and gymnastics, which would subsequently characterize his early profession. He went to DeWitt Clinton High School, where his athletic prowess was displayed out, obtaining a scholarship to attend New York University. But agitated and naturally daring, he ultimately dropped out of college to become a circus performer, acrobat, a member of the renowned KTHE Trapeze Act of Brothers. This early experience sharpened his exceptional athleticism, but additionally enhanced his characteristics such as stage presence and boldness that would be useful to him later on the large screen. His performance was stopped by World War II. Career at the time Lancaster joined the American Army. He worked alongside Afrianchin within the Special Services Division, amusing soldiers and putting up performances to raise spirits. His experiences during the war strengthened his comprehension of people and suffering, lending him a silent fortitude and compassion. Things would subsequently influence his performance. Once back home, a fortuitous meeting inspired him to collaborate with a theatrical producer, the platform where his unadulterated skill and attention was drawn to the magnetic presence of scouts from Hollywood. Soon after, Burt Lancaster first appeared in a motion picture in The Killers, a noir classic from 1946, across from Ava Gardner. His performance was intense, moody, thrilling, and rich in emotional nuance. Nearly he rose to fame overnight and was praised as of the most exciting new performers in Hollywood after the war. Lancaster's initial roles frequently highlighted his rough manner and physicality, but hell is not at all suitable for typecasting. From the 1950s to the 1960s, he shone his exceptional range by addressing positions that investigated both morality and subtleties of psychology. From in 1953, he gave birth to One Here to Eternity, one of his most enduring roles as during a conversation, Sergeant Milton Warden prohibited liaison with Deborah Kerr in one of the most famous speeches in movie Easians. The movie took home 8 Academy Honors and strengthened Lancaster's brand for having a significant dramatic talent. However, he felt just as at ease taking on darker, more difficult parts like his depiction of the vicious rumors. J.J. Hunt's columnist in Sweet Smell of 1957 saw success, a performance that continues to be a masterpiece with restrained sarcasm and menace. The capacity of Lancaster to fluctuate between moral ambiguity and courage set Jim in contrast to many of his peers, gaining him the utmost respect and industry respect. In addition to performing, Burt Lancaster also paved the way for camera. He was a co-founder of Thohek Lancaster, a production firm among the first actor-run businesses in Hollywood. This enabled him to take artistic authority over his projects and support movies that have social and political messages. Under this heading, he created innovative pieces such as Marty 1955, which took home the Best Academy Award. Image and emphasized the honor of regular folks. His dedication to generating significant human-centered personal beliefs were mirrored in the stories, as well as intellectual curiosity. Lancaster never shied away from taking on contentious themes or to give projects his name that questioned Hollywood's status quo. Thus, he cleared the path for actors of the future to take authority over their creative futures. Lancaster's career kept developing. When he relocated between the 1960s and 1970s, SFROM, heroic and romantic results and intricate, tired characters that demonstrated the skill of his trade. He received the Best Actor Oscar for his part in the 1960 film, Elmer Gantry, presenting an engaging but moral literature in conflict, a performance that demonstrated his tremendous range and unwavering med for handling emotionally stressful Later, in movies like Birdman of Atlantic City in 1980 and Alcatraz in 1962, Lancaster showed a deep depth and sensitivity that only increased stronger as one ages. His part in Atlantic, he earned it from City, across from Susan Sarandon. An Academy Award, a newfound recognition animation demonstrating that despite in his old years, he continued to be among the most powerful appearances in movies. Burt Lancaster was regarded off-screen as exceptionally bright and gregarious man with consciousness. He was politically vocal in favor of civil rights, refusing to support the Vietnam War, and supporting liberal causes for a long time before in Hollywood it was popular to do so. His co-workers frequently characterized him as fervent, principled, and opinionated, with a keen sense of fairness and humanity. However, beneath his authoritative on the outside, he was kind, funny, and kindness. He had 3 marriages and raised 5 kids while keeping a strong feeling of familial ties in spite of the requirements of his job. People who were aware he frequently commented on his honesty and the silent kindness that concealed his intimidating on-screen character. However, Burt Lancaster's private life, being eclipsed by his brilliant Hollywood career, was characterized by a number of impotent connections that demonstrated his changing character and themany phases of his life. His marriages give up a lot about a man behind the captivating on-screen persona. someone who is passionate, ambitious, and an ongoing quest for purpose and friendship in the face of uncertainty. World of Celebrity. June was Lancaster's first wife. Ernst, whom he wed in 1935, was long prior to his ascent to fame. At the time, Lancaster was still having trouble locating his role in society, working on a series during the Great Depression, Odd Occupations, and engaging in circus performance as Anna. The marriage of June and Burt symbolized youth and innocence, optimism of two individuals attempting to construct a future together in spite of financial constraints. They experienced a pre-fame's hardships. June was by his side during his life, was only the dreamer. Burt Lancaster, not the Hollywood icon yet, but the requirements of a profession in entertainment that was starting to develop along, considering the strains of his expanding ambition, started to negatively impact their As Lancaster's life moved in the direction of performance and acting, they began to take different routes. Following after over 10 years of dating, they separated in 1946, signaling the conclusion of his first wonderful chapter of one's life. Soon, the dissolution of his first marriage, Norma Anderson, whom Lancaster met, would become his second wife, in addition to also his 5 children's mother. In 1946, they got married, the year his career started to take off quickly after his breakthrough performance in The Killers. 1946. Norma was instrumental in this crucial time in his life, providing grounding and solidity as Lancaster's Hollywood was ablaze with celebrity. The union of the pair lasted for more than 2 decades, in which they witnessed the glitz and theatres that came with living in the movie sector. Norma was frequently regarded as thephus of balance in Burt's life, someone who maintained a feeling of normalcy in celebrity mayhem. Together they overcome the difficulties of rearing a family. Despite Burt's rigorous schedule kept him away from home for extended periods of time. Stretches, but the very characteristics. Lancaster was a captivating performer because of this. His ferocity, self-reliance, and additionally, the ceaseless quest for excellence made he as a challenging spouse. His extended hours in location, traveling frequently, and allegedly infidelity fueled the expansion of conflicts between them. Following 23 years of Burt and Norma's marriage, ended in divorce in 1969, unreally intimate turning moment that, with a change in his professional perspective as well, since Hested in investigating more intricate films with a social conscience in the 1970s. Following the dissolution of his second marriage, for many years, Lancaster was with Otamaring, instead spending a large portion of his time to his children, his job, and numerous charitable initiatives. He had a number of romantic relationships throughout this time, but none that resulted in marriage. As he grew older, but he appeared to soften emotionally, demonstrating a more profound gratitude for love and friendship later in life. In 1990, while he was in the year 77, Burt Lancaster wed Susan Martin, his third and last spouse. Their union was a representation of a more subdued, more moment of introspection in his life. By that time, Lancaster's professional progress has stagnated because he health problems, and he wasn't the burning youthful celebrity from the 1950s and 1960s. Susan was considerably younger than him, became his partner, in addition to his loyal caregiver, as he dealt with deteriorating health after a serious stroke around the beginning of the 1990s. Their bond was based on reciprocal courtesy and love, a soft connection that gave Lancaster tranquility and company in his last years. When the family of Burt Lancaster assembled in his house in Beverly Hills following after his death, they anticipated discovering the atypical collection of film and vintage romantic letters, awards, and faded pictures of a life spent in front of the camera. What none of them the note was anticipated, a single including a handwritten confession his writing desk's drawer, sealed with initials BL. It started off this way. They say that a man's love is a measure of his life. He conceals the affection that he gives. Mine was concealed for too long. The letter across multiple pages, his recognizable bold calligraphy that reveals tales he had never been brave enough to share whilst living. The golden idol of Hollywood, the powerful, athletic lead played lovers and soldiers equally. Conviction. Exposed to the reality regarding the legend's heart and Cary Grant. The first man to teach me was Cary. Armor could be charm. Both of us were masters of the stage. He used his graceful ease, me with my rough. One evening after a studio when we sat on the terrace during the party in 49 of his Palm Springs residence, he poured darts. We talked while I rolled cigarettes and gin about the loneliness of being loved by a world that no one actually knows. To guess, I realized that night, laughter could conceal love. According to Lancaster, Grant was a gentleman of disguises, a man he looked up to and coveted, as well as someone he could never compare. Their camaraderie had a hint of under-denial, with tension, with desire. Regarding J. Edgar Hoover, individuals will never. Not only that, but Hoover was captivated by me. Instead of being love, it was common. His goal was to possess everyone he not possible. He would ask me to suppers, discuss patriotism, and have a look at me like a hawk in every action. Power was present. In the fearful way he regarded others, as well. He said to me one evening, "You cold Druin guys with a single smile." But he meant it when he laughed. Hoover didn't. He gathered. The note recommended the interactions Lancaster had with Hoover were more psychological and less romantic. An uncomfortable balancing act between danger, curiosity, and deception amid the frigid shadows Hollywood wore. Rock was naive on rockhudson.com. Kind and constantly concerned about buying. I recall once holding him, following a rap party, when he stated, "I doubt they'll ever let us be ourselves." "Do you?" "No, Rock," I informed him, "they will not. However, we'll convince them of our they'll believe their lies because they're so good." He grinned, despite his tears. I was devastated by that. The tone made it apparent that Lancaster had a strong affection for Hudson, a mutual comprehension of theatrical life that their industry demands. About Ricky Nelson, the child I saw too much of was Ricky Amin, hungry, perplexed, and looking in all the wrong places for approval faces. He was too old for me to fall for. However, I did. I made an effort to shield him from Stis's wolves. Perhaps in the process, I became one myself, though the note depicted a mentoring relationship on older persons merging into passion. A veteran of Hollywood tries and fails to keep your distance. Marlon was in disarray on Marlon Brando, dangerous, magnificent anarchy. He questioned everything I believed to be true regarding masculinity. He chuckled at my discipline, made fun of my authority. One we fought at night, then shared a kiss, then fought once more. He said to me, "You're scared to feel Burt." Perhaps he was correct. Emotion never frightened Marlon. He resided in it. All I did was act it out. Their interactions were characterized as storms, short, electrifying and unforgettable. On the Montgomery Cliff, Monty was the secondest person I've ever met. He was carrying us, suffering as a halo, silently and without protests. I believe I adored him. Primarily because I wasn't required to be. He was able to see through armor. We would sit for hours just talking little. Two males acting as though it's outside it exists. The letter persisted, his susceptibility, his addictions, and Clive as well as the silent tragedy that troubled him. Lancaster's statements don't sound as confession and more akin to grieving on Gardner. Ava was the type of woman you never forgot. Know of how you tried very hard. Fire was her. She didn't burn you. You were consumed by her. We experienced an affair in the years of the murderer. Additionally, to swear I become more knowledgeable about passion and more disobedience from her than from anybody else. She would be too serious, but someone once told me, life isn't a conflict, but it was always that way for me. He explained Deva as mirror and muse. A female hawkwalled his ferocity and declined to bid regarding Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn was a poetry penned out of suffering. Individuals believed she was delicate, but they never observed her intense desire to be got. I recall her saying to me, "Burt, I'm not stupid, I simply play it that way." We spent a weekend together in Palm once. It Springs. Two lonesome individuals, attempting to be observed. That evening, she sobbed, and I had no idea how to console her. I continued to wish I had what the Monroe entry felt like. And apologized to everyone, not just to her ones he was unable to save himself. Regarding Elizabeth Taylor, Elizabeth was a member of the royal family. She lived as if she knew people would remember her. We had a long and late meeting, after I was no longer as young, and she said, "You still have that dangerous eye," said Burt, smile. Both of us survived by then. Two elderly celebrities acting as though they be afraid of the dark. She gave me a single kiss, and you ought to have written your title. This note might be my response. The note's last few lines were quickly scanned as if it were written in your Usher feelings. They will recall the movies, the smile, the muscles. Permit them. However, I hope this is read by someone sometime and comprehends I wasn't only a guy off display. I was also a guy of love, real, obscure, and messy. When the messenger concluded, the room fell silent. The legend surrounding Burt Lancaster, the stoic adventurer, iron-jawed hero, replaced with a more human, more delicate, and far more profound.